This episode of Behind the Billboard is brought to you by Bauer Media Outdoor.
Oh, and here's a little drum roll moment.
This year marks the 20th Outdoor Media Awards.
That's 2 decades of championing the bold ideas and brilliant out-of-home campaigns that stop people in their tracks.
The awards celebrate creativity, planning, innovation, and the work that really gets seen. If you think you've got a winning campaign, mark your calendars, guys. Entries open January 22nd, 2026.
The 20th Outdoor Media Awards, brought to you by Bauer Media Outdoor.
What do you think about people from New York?
New York, New York, New York!
This is 14th Street.
It would take one subway ride for the Dalai Lama to turn into a lunatic, raging person.
Joe DiMaggio joined the Yankees in 1936 and was an instant star.
New York offers you the opportunity to reinvent yourself.
Live from New York, it's Saturday night!
I am pleased to have Martin Scorsese here.
At night, there's something that happens if you work too long, especially on 54th Street and 11th Avenue. Well, you start to get very depressed around 4 in the morning. It's always 4 in the morning, you know?
And you're in New York City. You're like living Miles Davis's life.
Nothing's happened to me yet. That's why I'm going to New York.
So something happened to you?
Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
Good morning, Daniel.
Good morning. We both had quite a nice early night, didn't we?
Yeah. Do you know what? I mean, I'm obviously waking up every 2 hours, but it's not bad every 2 hours. I go straight back to sleep.
Do you?
Yeah.
I've been waking up at 4 and then kind of like, I'll check my email, I'll do some work, and then it's like, just up.
There's 2 women in the room next to me, and they're giggling, having fun, which is obviously illegal when I'm trying to sleep, but I can hit the walls are quite thin. And,
oh, right.
Yeah. But so we're early in.
We're early here, at Newsstand, because
Joe, we've got a big day.
We have got a big, long day. You're going to be back here later to record, but we're going to go down today to the Ad Club event. So this is our first podcast in New York, our New York New Year. And we were invited by the Advertising Club of New York to come to their Out of Home Now event. So we're really excited, and we've kind of shaped the trip around this event. So we're going to be talking to some incredible people and speakers and sponsors from the Out of Home Now event down there, which has been branded as Out of Home Now, the last real thing. So we'll be talking about how outdoor advertising and creative lend itself to the real world and experiences, and we'll be hearing from some esteemed guests.
It's a good lineup.
It will be edited, but so you'll hear from a number of people. You'll hear, we've got some more people waving at us outside the news.
Quite early, isn't it?
You'll hear from some incredible people, and hopefully get their opinions on 2025 and what they saw here in this US market, and also what they've got to look forward to in 2026. How technology and innovation is helping shape out of home advertising.
And I hear we might get a little shout out actually. At the front.
But before we go down there, we must say a big thanks to Elicia and Tara at the Advertising Club of New York for getting our podcast involved. They're going to have 500 odd guests down there.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing.
Be fun.
We need to be on best behaviour. We need to be quite orderly.
Yes.
And, on point. Not rabbit on too much, Daniel.
Yeah. we tend to be quite good, don't we? I'll keep you on time, don't worry.
I think we know what we're doing. But no, joking aside, it's interesting because I think we were going to do this in Cannes. We didn't quite do it. We did a kind of like a sort of sit down thing. This is good because I think this could be good practice for us going forward. Depends how it goes. You go right, like speed dating, like speed podding.
Yeah, speed podding.
Speeding. Hey, there you go.
Before we leave here, though, we do need to hear from our friends at Bauer Media Outdoor and the latest powerful poster that one of the team have decided to talk about. Let's hear from them now.
Happy New Year, Dan, Hugh, and all of the listeners. I'm Jonathan Acton, Head of Creative Solutions at Bauer Media Outdoor, and it's exciting to be on the first episode of 2026 and the first of the New York specials. And it's with New Year vibes in the air, we bring you the first powerful poster of the year. If you were one of the many slightly worse for wear on New Year's Day, then you could have featured in this poster. Photographed from the perspective of the delivery driver, we see bleary-eyed revelers wrapped up in their dressing gowns appearing on their doorsteps, each clutching their McDonald's delivery. A simple Happy New Year to you too headline is all that's needed to land the message. A simple insight brought to life brilliantly by the team at McDonald's and Leo. I'm loving it.
That's great. Powerful poster.
Lovely.
Yeah, it's good.
Lovely stuff.
So, shall we get our shit together and start heading downtown? We've got to get to Tribeca.
Yeah. Have you got leggings on? Because it's really cold.
I have not got leggings on
got
because
leggings
I'm hard.
Do you want to cut that out as well?
No, I don't want to cut that out.
No, well, I'm not quite as hard as you, but yeah, let's go.
Right, get your shit together.
Yeah.
Where's your jacket?
Bag. Yeah.
Have you got your travel card?
Dad. Listen, it's like going around with someone. Like you are amazing, actually. Can I just say, you've been very good at organising and producing. Otherwise, I'd have to do a lot more, but, you know.
Okay, thanks for that.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks for that backhanded compliment. Right, come on, let's get down to Tribeca.
Okay, bye.
So we're here with Jim Norton, Chief Revenue Officer at Outfront Media. Welcome to Behind the Billboard.
Good to be with you.
Nice to see you, Jim.
We've just listened to your session. It was great stuff.
Yeah, thank you.
And you said that you're new to Out of Home, relatively new to Out of Home.
I am, yes. So I joined Outfront in August of 2025, just 4 months ago. Long history in media and advertising sales leadership. Also did a couple software stints more recently, but delighted to be in the industry. I've sold every medium except out of home.
This is the top trump.
This is it.
This is it now.
I feel like this is full circle.
And have you admired Out of Home creative and media from afar before then? Have you circled it?
I mean, obviously, as a consumer, I've been aware of Out of Home my whole life. But, as somebody now representing the medium, I've been blown away by the creativity, the innovation, and even some of the more kind of mundane aspects of Out of Home, like performance metrics, and what we've been able to see from some of the campaigns that we've run at Outfront.
That's great. One of the things we do on the podcast a lot is we use a mechanic of the billboard at the end of my street, and we use that. Yeah. A guest comes on, they take a photo of what they've seen either on the bus side or on the subway or something, but we use it as a mechanic to get to the state of the industry and what we've seen in 2025. Can you tell us any of the amazing billboards that you've seen in 2025 and how you've enjoyed them?
Well, this is literally at the end of our street here in New York City. So our office is 2 blocks south of Grand Central Station. Right. And as you may know, Outfront works with the New York City MTA on all the transit advertising. So happening right now in Grand Central is something that is called Grand Central. It is a scent-infused activation with Bath and Body Works.
Oh, wow.
And so it is fresh balsam is the scent. And so that is being...
Do you know what? I smelled that on you as you came over. I'm joking.
And so I think it's just a great example of how you incorporate both classic out-of-home media that are transit advertising with an experience that is a scent, which you can't do in any other medium.
No, it becomes physical at that point.
Yeah, and it's it creates a memory, and it's very emotional. Scent is the most emotional of all senses. So we were excited to work with the MTA on the ability and the capability of Grand Central.
That's really nice.
I like that. We should try and get some imagery of that.
Yeah, we'll head up there and we'll give that a sniff.
We get a free spray.
Yeah, I think you should.
We did go on the way over at Heathrow. Dan always says if you get a nice free spray, you're good on the plane.
Yeah, exactly. And so what would you like to see more of in 2026, Jim?
Well, I think it is beyond the billboard, right? To just go, honestly, not only a plug for you, but a plug for how we should all be thinking about out of home, is that the boards and existing assets that live in the real world today is how do we go beyond those and create emotional experiences that have impact, that provide measurability. And so, we've done at Outfront, we work heavily with the entertainment industry, and some of the more recent campaigns we've done. So HBO, Welcome to Derry. That was a show that premiered a few months ago. We had Pennywise the Clown on top of a bus shelter in West Hollywood, which was a not only amazing activation, but frightening in its own right.
And I imagine lots of people taking photos of that.
And the social amplification, and what made that campaign so great is that actually Pennywise got stolen.
Oh, really?
From the top of the bus shelter.
That's a good sign.
However, we did have an AirTag.
And so you found it in someone's house.
So there was this huge social, big press pickup about, Pennywise was stolen and then recovered and replaced back on the
That's an idea in itself.
Yeah, so I mean, that was really cool. We just did a great campaign for Avatar 2, where we, reconstructed an actual billboard, and you've got the wings of the dragon coming out of the water, and it was just an incredible activation.
It's interesting you talk about that, because Dan, we were hitting on this the other day about a lot of entertainment channels are on outdoor here.
Yeah.
And we don't see that so much.
Not as much. I definitely think, we've walked around New York for the last couple of days taking photos of things like, and go, oh, that's nice. There's some nice, lots and lots of entertainment brands embracing out of home. I think it's good.
Definitely. Well, and what's even, and entertainment has always embraced out of home. But I think what's interesting is to see some of the other industries and industry verticals beginning to embrace out of home, whether that be automotive or financial services. This year has been very, very active in financial services, with the credit cards competing against one another. So, that's been very positive for our business, but also seeing a category like pharmaceuticals and wellness. Those brands where, historically have not been big advocates of out of home, and to be able to see Johnson & Johnson and what they did with Tremfya over this last year, it was really, very, very positive for the industry.
Yeah, it's really good. Just your thoughts on the state of creativity in the market. Obviously, you're working on the sales side of a media owner, and you're trying to make sure that the space is being sold properly. And you're heavily reliant on the creative being up to scratch and the message being good for its effectiveness. So just give us some brief points on what you see as the great things about creativity in the market.
I thought the panelists in the last session did a really good job talking about the importance of being creative-led when engaging in out of home, and making it a forethought, not an afterthought. And so one of the things that we're doing at Outfront is we're really trying to have these more strategic CMO plus level conversations to get further upstream, not to be the recipient of a pre-decided out of home budget, but to really think strategically, and that almost always involves creativity. And one of the areas we're really focused on is what can we do from an experiences standpoint. A couple major events coming up, as you guys are well aware, with FIFA World Cup, and so here in the States, and what can we do to create fan experiences around these FIFA official sponsors, and how can we not only leverage our existing assets, but what can we do with drone shows? What can we do with street teams? And how can we create these fan zones that allow these brands to activate in real life? And so I think, when we talk about creativity, we're almost always at Outfront talking about in real life, experiential, emotional connection, community building. That's where creativity is headed.
Yeah, because if you make people feel it, then you're going to get that amplification from social media, right? So
that's correct.
It's the first things to go, right, it's affecting me.
Yeah.
And we always have this gauge. I was chatting about it someone the other day, like, if you think it's good enough, you'll put it up and it reflects on you, because you think, what I mean? And then it becomes this kind of like domino effect. Right?
It is. And that social amplification is something that I think has been left on the table. We have numerous assets in Times Square here in New York City. And so 2 Times Square, which is the tower that sits directly behind the bleachers in Times Square. It's one of the most prominent displays. Any photo that you see of Times Square includes this amazing, amazing asset. But most importantly, it is the social amplification, because when people go to Times Square and they're taking the selfie, that is in the background. And so whether it's Coca-Cola or Prudential or any of other...
The responsibility for the advertiser is to have something that's amazing.
That's right.
Because it's in someone's photo.
And so, so yes, there's a creative element to it, but that social amplification and performance element is just, it can't be talked up enough.
And you're blessed at Outfront to have the studios team as well. I know, Ed, we talked about Eddie Bertie. And his team, but how much does that play a part in things like your permanent renewals and things that, from a creative perspective, how do help turn the dial for certain advertisers around the country for the creative.
And thank you for shouting out Eddie Hurdy at Outfront, because, first and foremost, one of the things that Eddie is able to do, especially at a more local level, is remove the barrier of creative to entering out of home. So Eddie and his team can create on behalf of those local advertisers that may not have used out of home in the past. But also, secondly, we've got something called our X Labs studio on site at 90 Park Avenue here in New York City, where we will bring brands and agencies into the studio and allow them to experience what their assets could look like. So we've replicated what a subway car looks like, what Times Square might look like, what our classic digital boards could look like. And so the ability for us to do creative brainstorming on site is incredibly important. We see minds open up when we bring them into the studio like that. So both Chad Shackelford, who runs X Labs, as well as Eddie Hurdy, who runs our studios team. We just brought on Stacy Monero, who just joined us as our Chief Brand Officer at Outfront. Stacy's background is she founded Art House at Twitter and turned that into $1 billion+ business, all through the lens of creative. She did something similar at Epic Games in the gaming industry. So, we are blessed and fortunate to have such great creative staff to help us activate that way.
And you can really see that as well. As you know, in a former life, worked through the sales process from the out-of-home specialist side.
Yeah.
And having partners on the media owner side, like Outfront for creative, has been fantastic.
Yeah.
One of our sponsors of the show, Super Optimal, also work with Outfront as an AI tool that helps understand the creative excellence, and it kind of looks at the effectiveness and gives you scoring and helps you improve that. And that's been embraced by Eddie and his team as they look to do those perms.
Yeah, we've begun to start experimenting with AI-driven creative, scan the code, create an AI experience that actually displays on the transit ad itself.
And that's one of the things I was going to ask you, actually. How has the world of AI crept into the media owner side specifically?
Certainly we do expect to see AI as a big advancement lever within creative. I would say one of the areas where I'm hopeful for AI to be a big existence, not only to Outfront, but to the industry at large, is we today remain a very traditional transactional medium. It is very manual. We live in a world of non-standard ad formats for the most part, which requires a lot of people, and whether that's at Outfront or anywhere else. And so the workflows, there's an opportunity for AI to stream those workflows significantly. So,
yeah, I was going to ask. Obviously we're here at the Ad Club's event. I love the theme, the last real thing. Does that resonate with you? That is out of home, the last real thing, a medium rooted in truth and trust and public presence. Is that?
I think New York Ad Club did a great job branding this as the last real thing. And I think it also plays on the theme of, as we think about the transformation of out of home, OOH, to in real life, IRL. So OOH to IRL is really an area where I feel like, marketers need to think differently about out of home as what was once known as outdoor ads, right? As to now about in real life experiences. How do you engage your consumers or prospects in real life with an experience?
IRL a new OOH?
It is. That's how we think about at Outfront. Outfront is, we are from a legacy out of home medium to a legendary IRL experience.
Which is why you're thinking about the experiential side for things like the big cultural events around the World Cup and things. You're thinking about.
And back to Grand Central Central Station,
And last question, I think we always ask on the show is, and it's a hard one, but do you have a favorite billboard of all time?
Well, favorite billboard of all time, one that's near and dear to me. My brother owns a lawn care company in the Boston area, and every spring he has a big ad on that I drive by regularly. So it's always funny to see a local business using the Outfront medium to promote the business.
Is he buying the space on Outfront?
He is buying the space on Outfront. Yeah. So
is it covering grass?
It says, "Say no to weeds."
Oh, Oh, nice. I like it. Very good. Yeah.
That's perfect.
Yeah. If you could send us a picture of that, we'd love to feature it.
Yeah, I'll try to find that. Yeah.
That's great. Thank you so much for your time, Jim.
Thank you, mate.
Gentlemen, thank you, and happy holidays.
Yeah, take care, Jim. Lovely.
Ryan Laul, CEO of Talon America,
North
America. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You and I have worked together before in the past. You've been a client before, and now you're a guest on my show. So
a client and also a member. Yeah, absolutely.
Welcome. And you've got a role here at the Ad Club's event as well. You're a board member at the Ad Club.
That's correct. Yes, I'm a board member of the Ad Club, and I've been co-chairing this event now for about, I think this is my 14th or almost my 15th year, perhaps.
I remember watching. It hasn't always been here in the
Tribeca
360, has it? It was Chelsea somewhere.
Yeah, we had it over at Chelsea Piers for a number of years. We also, the original event was held at the New York Athletic Club. So that's going back almost about 20 years now.
And Elicia was telling me it used to be like really small, 50 people, 150 people. Now it's 450 people here. Or something.
I mean, it's really grown into one of the marquee events of the year, particularly here in the U.S. on the calendar for Out of Home. The turnout's great. I think the timing of the event itself adds to it. We get a lot of people come into New York for this. They want to see their clients, one last trip in for the holidays. So it's just a really good confluence of the industry coming together to kind of celebrate the good work that has taken place across the year, and then also just everyone get to see each other one last time.
Yeah, it's the start of the Christmas week and the Christmas parties.
Yes.
Right? I had a couple of invites out front of doing a holiday party next week.
Next week.
Are you still here next week?
Yeah.
You mentioned it just now, but the kind of state of the industry is what we're starting off with here. And what would you say is the best billboard or poster or out-of-home ad that you've seen in 2025?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think if you looked around the U.S., particularly this year, you were inundated by kind of these banking credit card wars. So you saw Chase, you saw Capital One, you saw Amex, a lot of that in major markets in the U.S. And you also saw the rise of like a number of different AI specific to any kind of category that they might be doing business in, trying to drive awareness, right? So there's a lot of that happening. For me,
so those are like kind of functional ads rather than creative?
I would think they're all very extremely functional. Also, I think you have a lot of like first-time brands coming into the space, trying to figure it out. So I would say not all that dynamically creative, fairly kind of cookie cutter. I'm fairly biased, having worked with Apple for a good amount of time in my career at Omnicom. One, they continue to kill it creatively, and particularly when they started using outdoor to go out beyond just showing product. When they started doing the shot on iPhone campaigns, I thought was so well done and so well received, and showing the power of the product. And then the next iteration of that, and what you would have saw earlier this year, and there's one particular board by my house in Brooklyn. It's an excellent shot, on the Brooklyn Queens Expressway, right by the Brooklyn Bridge. It focused a much more local kind of artist, photographer with a local image from a local point on a map in Brooklyn that only if you lived in Brooklyn you would know about. It's really kind of obscure, focusing on like almost like subsets or neighborhoods within neighborhoods, and that's kind of where the focus of the campaign was, and the imagery behind that, and also focusing the local artists from that particular neighborhood. So that brings together not only the power of a massive brand like Apple, the creativity that Apple stands for as a brand, the power that the product in iPhone has in terms of what it can do as a camera, and it also ties into the context of location, and then power of out of home and location, bringing it all together. I just think that's seeing more things like that tie location, because out of home is all about location, and it will continue to be the driving growth for out of home as a medium going forward.
And would you like to see more of that in 2026 from the brands that you work with then?
Absolutely. I think, we've had a number of clients, on stage today talk about how oftentimes they now have the right media plan driving a lot of creative inspiration. So talking about, placing, ads in transit commuter hubs, and talking about whether it's the hustle and bustle of the commute, or the specific of being hustle and bustle of commuting in and out of like a Penn Station, for example, or a Grand Central Station. Really, again, tying the contextual messaging of the location, or the geography, or the local nuance of the market, and tying that back to the medium and the message.
It's a really nice way of sort of speaking to someone on a more personal level.
Absolutely.
Because like quite often you can see these huge billboards and think, it's not. And then you go, oh, look. And then I think there's a double take when you go, it's Apple as well. You know, that's a really nice. I'd love to see that. We should get.
Yeah, we'll get you some images of that.
Sure, sounds great.
And so, just your thoughts on the state of creativity in the US market. What makes it a challenge for creatives? Do you think? Is it that scale? I
think it's a scale. I also think there's, unfortunately, a heavy amount of fragmentation in kind of all of the necessary parties to get a campaign off the ground, whether, just in general. So you have clients, you have brand teams, you have media agency teams doing planning and investment. You have specialists like us at Talon that are doing out of home. Like trying to pull all these teams together and orchestrate that. Yeah. And oftentimes the most successful campaigns in out of home certainly start further upstream with a creative idea. And when we see creative campaigns, you can almost feel it that it's been so interlaced since the beginning in the media plan. And it's actually a big reason why we at Talon acquired Grand Visual, because we want, and oftentimes a lot of clients come to us wanting to do out of home and they don't have a creative agency or they're intimidated by doing creative in out of home. Grand Visuals are some of the best at what they do, and particularly at just executing in the out of home space. So being able to bring that capability and having it tied to the media planning and the investment piece oftentimes makes things a lot easier, and you end up with a much more productive campaign.
Yeah, I think that's
much more streamlined.
Exactly.
I mean, as ex-creative, well, not ex-creative, as a creative myself, it's sort of like, there's so many things that can trip you up, and like the less processes, the better, I suppose.
But it's also why the creative agencies do go to specialists for support, right?
Absolutely.
Because it is a minefield of specs and shapes and sizes and aspect ratios and where you can animate and where you can't animate. Just as we creep into the technology space, is there, are you seeing AI creep into the Talon stack and your technology play?
Absolutely. So we're certainly utilizing AI across our tech stack on our kind of our operating system, which is Atlas, and from a kind of an opportunity to truncate timelines and response times to our clients and agency partners. Speed is always number one. Speed and price is always number one in terms of getting a campaign approved. So our ability to use AI to truncate timelines and free our specialists are very talented and know out of home so well to swim further upstream and be more strategic and more creative and innovate further and have deeper discussions with our clients and not be kind of bogged down with the minutia of actually just the nuts and bolts of activating a campaign and processing it all the way through, till its completion. And I think another piece where I think AI is a tremendous benefit, will be a benefit. You mentioned a number of different specs and formats. It's being able to use AI to quickly resize creative, or even to do creative rapid versioning to show clients what their message could look like in a matter of minutes, rather than having really skilled creative guys like yourselves trying to do copywriting or doing artwork on a spec basis, right? Yeah. So I think seeing is believing, right? So showing clients kind of what it could look like in the power of out of home with their actual creative on it, and AI giving us the chance to do that at speed is going to be a big benefit.
A big sales tool for you.
Absolutely, I think so.
Show that scale.
Yep.
To finish up, well, we're here at the Ad Club's Out of Home Now event, which we can hear. Yeah. Hopefully all the listeners. Sounds like some banging nightclub over there.
Crowd.
Yeah, and it's set up as the last real thing, which is I really like that. It's very intriguing. I mean, do you feel like Out of Home is the last real thing in the media landscape? Do you feel it's the one which is rooted in truth and trust?
Yeah, absolutely. I opened up today talking about three key pillars that I think, everyone talks about out of home being about reach and scale. And I think one of the key pieces, and a lot of folks here in the US are kind of echoing this, which is great to have a consistent message in the market. It's more about being authentic.
Yeah.
So driving authenticity and trust, particularly in a world where digital ads are being created so quickly and content's being created so quickly by AI. Consumers, what they're consuming on their mobile device or any kind of digital format, probably having a hard time discerning what's real and what's not.
Yeah.
And out of homes, I think, is real. It's in the real world. Yeah. And ability to convey trust and authenticity is key for a brand. The other two pillars, I think, are critical. Our experience, it's driving experience, it's being immersive, so it's more than just awareness, it's a deeper experience. and its influence, right? And it's not just about influence being visibility. It's really about driving intent. And I think the authenticity and experience and influence, those are three key pillars strategically. We're driving at Talon with clients and agency partners, also working hand in hand with our media owner partners to drive that part home, because it's a part that's starting to get quickly lost in a very rapidly changing world in the digital ecosystem.
And you're using that as part of your sales process at Talon. You're talking to agencies and clients about that.
We absolutely are.
That's great. Excellent.
Okay, last big question. This is a toughie, and you don't. You know, if you don't have one, or you want several, favorite billboard of all time, do you have one?
You know, I hate to go back to Apple, but I think I have to, because I think the original iPod silhouettes campaign, with the bold colors,
with the AirPods, non-AirPods, the wired head.
Yeah, the wired. I mean, and it only had the silhouettes with the white product and the headphone wire. You know, that they used the out-of-home that we worked on for that, all the custom wild posting sites, again, talking about a neighborhood into a neighborhood, talking about really capturing this cultural zeitgeist, going to the hottest, the subsections of the hottest neighborhoods and the hottest markets to drive awareness about that product. And then they brought all of that out-of-home to life on all the TV advertisement. And I think that was a really good play.
It was global as well.
It was absolutely global.
Totally visual, didn't national or local. It was like
we actually wrote a piece about it the other day, which is like recycled advertising, because what they did with pods, it's basically the same thing.
Yeah.
And they just got
the wire.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why it's such a great campaign. It's got so much longevity.
Iconic.
It's so sweet.
Absolutely is.
Yeah, I'm pleased you brought that up.
Yeah, excellent.
Ryan, thank you so much for joining us.
You're being pleasure.
Called back to your seat, I think.
Cheers, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, guys.
Thank you,
really
Ryan.
appreciate it. Take care.
Grace Tang, Chief Media Officer and Partner at Zambezi, welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome to the show. We're here at the Ad Club Out of Home event. We've had a couple of speakers already. Have you been enjoying the event so far?
Yeah, it's been great.
Excellent. We ask all of our guests when we do our regular episodes to take a photo of the billboard at the end of their street. We've renamed that for when we're in the US for Billboard in My Block. And you're here in New York from LA, and you've taken a picture of this ad for us, which is for Target, and it was an animated ad.
Correct, yeah.
And was it a good one?
Yeah, I loved it. I mean, I feel like it's obviously appropriate. It's Christmas time.
Yeah.
It was visual, just in terms of the red. I mean, you knew it was Target. That coloring, like the style of it. Yeah. And so I loved it. I took it because I specifically thought it stood out from all the other ones that I could see.
And we kind of use this segment as a mechanic to talk about the state of the industry and to see what we think is happening in the industry from a creative perspective.
Sure.
Give us your opinion from a Zambezi perspective on what the creative state of the out-of-home industry is right now in the US.
I think the industry is an exciting time.
Yeah.
I think so many of the billboards going digital, the 3D, I think so much of seeing social plus out-of-home together, or TV and out-of-home together, or whatever it is, just, I mean, I don't know, I just think it's very exciting, especially what you can do from a creative perspective.
Was there anything, because we also ask about, was there any highlights of the year that just happened? Is there anything that stood out for you?
Yeah, so I'm from LA. I'm a Dodgers fan. The Dodgers did well this year.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So, winning the World Series was exciting, especially
back to back, right?
Back to back.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, we've had a tough year in LA.
Right.
So one of the things I didn't really love that Nike did was that after the win, first of all, they had this spot right after, just kind of like highlighting all the players involved. They also made the Hollywood sign in terms of the D, it would turn blue. Yeah. So, just like a nice little nod to the city.
It was projected. And
correct.
Yeah.
So just the letter D
so can I ask, because I'm not into this sport, so maybe some of our listeners won't, can both of you explain to me
what the World Series is?
Yeah, and why that was, so they just changed the D.
It was a lighting effect projected onto the D for Dodgers, obviously, in LA, and it was a topical ad, I guess, or a contextual ad.
We should get a copy of that.
We'll get a visual.
Yeah, it's
so
beautiful in terms of
did it make you feel quite proud when you saw
that? It did. I mean, look, like again, it's been a tough year. There's fires, there's all sorts of things, politically that's been happening, and it's just like, it felt like relief, honestly. And just being at a sports bar, everybody wearing blue, and then seeing the D being blue. It's like that's such a local area.
It's something we talk about as this sort of amplification by different media. So obviously it happened there and then, but everyone's going to be obviously taking photos.
Exactly.
And it goes round and round and round. It's a lovely butterfly effect, isn't it? That domino effect, rather. The way it just sort of goes on, that kind of thing.
Right. Exactly.
And what would you like to see more of? If that was your favorite ad of 2025, what would you like to see more of in 2026?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's because in this case here, they had the ad, right, in terms of the video right after the World Series and then the out of home. So it's like the mirroring of the two. So I love to see more social and out of home, like cross media channels, like how do we use that together? I think it's great. I think just how to do some really interesting things from the billboard, but also like something outside in the physical space as well.
We don't see enough of the, I mean, there are many integrated campaigns out there, but they kind of like, it sometimes feels like out of home's an add-on after the fact that we're starting something on social.
Yeah.
I agree. I think that if we start to see some proper 360 campaigns that each have a home on different media, it will link up much better from the creative.
Exactly. Yeah. And honestly, I mean, look, I'm a media person, so like at the end of the day, I can help buy the billboards, but the creative idea, and that's where being an integrated independent shop is great, because I can tap into my creative team for the idea. I can buy billboards, I can buy this, but like, what's the idea? What do we tie it around? And I think being able to integrate the two.
But it's quite interesting to sometimes go the other way. We were talking to Katie and Kelly at Uncommon, and they had been working on BA.
Sure.
They've got a bunch of headlines. And then one of them took a tour of the city, roughly where the stuff was going to be, and she came back, went, I think we've missed some big ideas, because it's going the other way, seeing where the media is. So it's that kind of, it's not like a factory visit, but it's like being aware of where it's going to be in the real world.
Yeah, and I mean, I can even just say right now, like, so one of the reasons, like, why I scale at Zambezi, which is essentially the media division, like, we double down on media, knowing people know that, like, it's different ways of working. So we start off independent shop, but, now we're focused on media. That being said, we bring in media clients first, so it comes in this way first, and then the creative idea is like, okay, how do we bring it together?
But you've got all of that in-house. You've got media and creative at Zambezi.
Right, exactly. Yeah, so either it comes in from a creative, they look for media, or vice versa. But the thing is, like you're saying, media, I mean, we can come up with the ideas, right? I mean, we really did start with a lot of being like, hey, this is where we think we can live. This is contextually where we think it's going to be. And then like, how does it go from there, right?
And Zambezi is an independent shop?
Correct, independent.
Fiercely independent.
Yes, that's right. Fiercely independent.
Directly with the clients and working on creative and media at the same time.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
But what makes here in the US, we've got a huge market here, and from an out-of-home perspective, lots of different DMAs.
Right.
You've got, you're targeting for things like Traeger grills, you want certain areas.
Yeah.
What makes it such a challenge for a creative team looking at an out-of-home media plan, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's like three things. I think one is, if you're looking at one board, that's fine. But when you're trying to do like a bigger thing and looking at things, together, it's just very fragmented in terms of who owns what and then what you can do with each board. So I think that's one of them. I think the second is, I mean, there's still a lot of billboards, which is great, but it just takes time. You're going to be printing those type of things. I mean, there's more digital at this point, but it's just figuring out, like, from a creative perspective, like how you can really stand out, right? Because there's just so many boards right now.
What would you say the unique challenges are from the media perspective then for out-of-home, for planning? How do you go about it? Are you straight to the media owners? Do you have a specialist that you work with? And how do you target those audiences in such a fragmented market?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's definitely a challenge from a planning perspective, because again, there's so many owners in this space. So we do work with specialized out-of-home vendors, both with Quan, who Brian is speaking here, and also Project X in terms of Rick Robinson. So there are partners that we work with to like help make this a little bit easier, because otherwise it's just like
it's
very
invested heavily in tools to help them as well, and you get to utilize those.
Exactly. So one of the biggest things is they have the tools that basically say like, hey, if Google Fiber is one of our clients, if you're zip code targeting in this area or quarter mile or half mile radius, here's everything that's available, right? Because I mean, and then that includes bus shelters, I mean, the billboards, coffee sleeves, like pizza, flyers, if you will. So it's not only the traditional places, but also I think the unique places that we can play in, and they're able to help showcase like all of that within that short distance.
And Are you seeing that now being driven by AI systems with your partners? Have you invested in AI yourselves to help with that stuff?
Yeah, so I would say definitely from an audience targeting perspective. I know AI is, being starting to like basically plugged into the tool. Definitely from a creative side as well, just kind of thinking like what it could be. It may not be the final execution, but just kind of visualizing it, and especially for the clients, just to like see what it looks like versus, like a sketch or anything like that. So I really do see, I think from the audience targeting, from a location perspective, AI is helping just consolidate that information a little faster, and then creative.
It's really interesting because the onus even more is on simplicity, because if you go, right, okay, there's this mega landscape, it's fragmented, it's a bit this, but then you go, so you can look at one side and go, oh, how's it going to work? But if your idea is pure enough, it's going to be, I know we're going to talk about liquid IV with Gavin, but I think that's really interesting. We should see it as a positive, going, right, there's all these places you can go.
Yeah. So we're here at the Ad Club's Out of Home Now event, which is themed The Last Real Thing. Yeah. So from a media perspective, and for a media that's rooted in truth, trust, and public presence, use that as a superpower as part of the Zambezi offering. If you got a client who wants to do something and they want to be real, Out of Home is a first thought for you from a media perspective.
You know what? I will say, because we focus on awareness, Out of Home is brought up like quite a bit. I would say, I actually, was looking at our spend. I would say Out of Home is roughly around like 20-25 of our budget.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's sizable, I would say, for what we do.
That's big in comparison to other agencies.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, every brand that we have has some Out of Home in it.
That's really good.
And they all try and do something unique on top of it, which I love.
I love the way it kind of challenges. The more you see exciting, innovative new things, you go, right, we all want to do one of those.
Right.
And all the time just lifts everything up, doesn't it? We were talking about, there's a lot of stuff which isn't great out there, but the more good we do, the more it'll lift it.
Exactly.
The final question we have for you, and I've just seen what your selection is here, and I absolutely love it, is your favorite ever billboard.
I saw that last night.
Talk us through it.
During that time period, Apple was resurging back. Steve Jobs has just come back as CEO, and I just thought the whole line of Think Different, like you're saying, so simple, so clean, like the image of John Lennon and Yoko Ono. That time period, of course you think of the Beatles. It's just refreshing. It's so simple, but it conveys so much emotion and feeling, and so I just love it. And I love that it's so big on top of that. Like we're talking about Out of Home, it really used like the space. And then just with like the only thing, so it's all in black and white. The only thing with color is the Apple logo. So again, like that's just, it stands out. It feels like innovation. It was just such an exciting time. It's still an exciting time, but like at that moment of just seeing Apple as a brand, it just brought a lot of joy, honestly. Like, and you get inspired. Walk around, you feel good. You hear a happy Beatles song,
That longevity, it's still doing it.
Exactly.
It's amazing. They're so consistent.
So we've had 3 people so far on this episode, and 2 people have chosen Apple, and 2 different Apple adverts. Yeah, Ryan, who was on before you, chose the iPod,
dancing one,
the original iPod silhouettes.
But then he also referenced shot on iPhone as well, didn't he? It's really interesting.
I love Apple, and actually there was another one that I didn't find, but I just remember when I was walking down Sunset Boulevard, it was one of the iPad, but it just had books coming out, and it was just. I remember I stopped and I stared at that billboard on Sunset Boulevard, being
every
like, "This
book
is
you can
art."
imagine inside the iPad, and that's their visual. It was just all done with visual, no words.
Gorgeous, and I love reading. So the idea of like, being inspired again. There's so many of these that I just like love. Yeah.
Grace, thank you so much for finding the time for us today.
Of course.
I'm sure you want to get back and listen to the other speakers, but thank you.
Thank you very much, Grace. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.
Jackie Lyons, Chief Planning Officer at Havas Media Network, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
And welcome to the Ad Club event.
Yeah, it's amazing.
We saw you on stage earlier on, well done.
Thank you.
I feel sometimes funny when I sit up on stage and do those things to a room full of people. You're an absolute natural.
You look like you were just like having a relaxed, Sunday afternoon chatting on the sofa.
I love chatting. I'm a chatter. I'm a chatty person.
It's the Irish in
It's the Irish in me. I love chatting. People can't get out of my office. They're like, I have to go to a meeting. I'll just walk away. That's true.
one of the first segments that we do on every episode, and we've decided to bring it into this kind of multi-person episode, is the billboard at the end of my street. So I see you've put something up on the deck here.
Yeah.
Can you explain it for us?
Sure. So it's not the best picture of it, but there's an epic mural, hand-painted mural for Stella Artois.
Oh, great.
And it's over the Harlem Tavern. So I live very close to 116th Street station in Harlem. And I love it. It is like the best, brightest, most vivid. It's hand-painted mural on a brick wall. Also, like, you know, as somebody spent a long time working on Diageo, obviously Stella Artois were our competitors then, but it's in the perfect location, right over a bar. I mean, you know, like it's like tick, 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 high impact, beautiful, hand-painted, different, catches attention. So I love it. Yeah.
It's really nice. One of the reasons that we use this segment in the show is to talk to our guests about the state of the industry, really. Mm-hmm. So, and the reason we do it for the billboard at the end of my street is we want to know what's out there for real.
Yeah.
We know, the best stuff gets put on people's LinkedIn. You start to talk about it, and then you might go and see it afterwards. But when you ask someone to take a picture of what's happening at the end of the street, sometimes you can get a real piece of amazing work, and sometimes you can get something absolutely atrocious.
I can imagine.
We're lucky with you. We've got a really, really nice one there. But let's talk about what else is happening in the out-of-home space and what you're seeing out there. What do you think 2025 has really looked like from an out-of-home perspective and creative-led?
So I would say, I was explaining on the panel, I moved to New York 14 months ago. So a lot of my career was built up in Europe, specifically London. And so I have the lucky benefit of having email updates from every single media owner and ad network you can imagine from both sides of the Atlantic.
Okay.
So I feel like I still am in this kind of hybrid space of like I've one foot in each camp nearly. And I think one of the best things I've seen in outdoor recently, I don't know if you guys have seen it, was like the Netflix Stranger Things.
Oh yeah,
upside down.
It's the new one in the London Tube network, and they've taken a bus and it's like 3D and there's like crazy things coming out of it. It's unbelievable. It's great. And what I love about campaigns like that is, to your point, it gets picked up. So even if there's only one of them in a key station in London, everyone talks about it and it gets like blown up on social, and not just like our little own LinkedIn bubble, like consumer social as well.
But if you get it right creatively, then people will start talking about it.
Correct.
Because we featured, I think we have a social feature called Ooh, That's Nice. And we do it every week. And that was something we picked up on. I think there was a bus, there was a poster with like a portal. And then there was something else, and they're all really well done.
They're really well done.
Is really strong.
Exactly. And you can tell it's like clever media planning, but also like the collaboration with a creative agency way up front to get that right. And obviously then you got like probably the Tube network involved. We've got all of these other parties. And when people come together, I think, and spend the thoughtfulness and effort, that really shows.
Yeah.
What would you like to see more of then in 2026? Certainly here in this US market, and the stuff that Havas are producing and with your partners. What do you want to see more of?
There's lots of questions layered in there. I want to see more, honestly, for us in Havas, we are all about media experiences. We're all about exactly the type of work I talked about, like buzzworthy, attention-grabbing work. So outdoor has a big role in that. I want to see us do better work in that space, and outdoors be a big lever and big channel for us to do that in.
And does your play team come into effect for that then?
They can, absolutely. Our play team are full of really creative folk who are really useful to us in ideation. There's different types of campaigns. There's different types of ways we build creativity into the plans. We've just done a massive overhaul in our process, and we've on purpose made check-in points to make sure the creative brains in our business are pushing ideas into activation, which has been a big shift in terms of how we worked before. So really excited to see that, the fruit of that labor, say, come into effect in activation next year. From a market perspective, I have to be honest, I think the standard of creative here in places is terrible. I walk around sometimes on the subway, or I'm looking around on the streets, and like some stuff is incredible, high-end brand building. There's a lot of luxury brands we get here off Canal Street. Mm-hmm. You can see the impact of like that type of advertiser in the world, but there's a lot of people spending money on ad dollars in outdoor, and it's a very rational, overly detailed, like hundreds of words on a poster.
Functional ads,
but it's just not stuff that people are going to remember.
Okay.
And outdoor has that ability to drive impact, but you have to get the creative right to make it work. And I feel like people put too many messages into an outdoor ad and expect that to have the same impact, with the exception of something like a subway panel where you have a bit more time and dwell time's different, but you need to have that thinking in mind.
Yes, I find that when it's basically a brochure, people put a brochure on a poster and you go, where did that come from?
And they're trying to squeeze everything in,
Oh,
so that kind of that's one of my pet hates, I think, in the world, and I see it here quite a lot.
Because it's such a waste of money.
It really is.
Really
that's the thing. It really is.
Yeah.
And then they'll measure outdoors being ineffective, and that's what pains.
Yeah, then that's pain.
And it's not the channel; it's the creative in that instance. You know.
That's very true.
And then you get judged on it for the media planning.
Oh my God, totally. This is the cycle. Yeah.
From a media perspective, then here in the US, what are the unique challenges that you face as you plan out of home across the country, and how do you get around those?
The obvious thing about the US generally, right, comparing the whole media market to where I've come from in London, is the scale.
It's like Europe, basically, isn't it? It's like multiple
exactly.
states.
100%. It's very, very much like that. And luckily, I've had experience when I did work on Diageo of planning across Europe, and I've actually lent on that. It was the previous role to my last role in Havas, but I've probably lent on that a lot more than I realised I would coming here. I think the scale is really important, and the scale and the style of planning output, those two things together either lead to a lot of outdoor on a plan or no outdoor on a plan, because we're in a market where first-party data and audience ID match rates end up dictating a lot of like targeted reach and precision, and that's not the job just like of planners. That kind of drives me crazy. That's the laziest form of media planning, if you ask me. What we need is people to think about the effectiveness levers that different outdoor formats can pull, and therefore what the right role for outdoor is on a plan. When you add in the different DMAs and across country market segmentations and different things like that, of course there's places where you could show up with a main city approach or going after a very specific community. But I think depending on how you do your audience work and how you do your strategic planning up front, that either is a door that's opened or closed down very quickly. So it's down to the style of the agency probably and the planning product.
With the Havas tech stack for your audience planning, maybe not just for out of home, but are you seeing AI and predictive analytics filter into your tech stacks for audience planning and out of home?
I'm sure every agency.
Everyone's talking about it. I've not seen enough yet because it's happening behind closed doors.
Yeah, it does happen. It's hard. It's one of those things where sometimes it's very tangible and visible, and sometimes it's just like making things move better. So, for example, one of the things we have is Persona AI, which takes all of our audience data. YouGov is like the core of our data spine, but we've like 3 billion data points. We've worked with lots of other data partners that are blended in there as well. And ultimately what Persona AI does is allows us to take all of the core information you'd expect to see in like kind of some profile work for an audience, but then we can question it and dig more and get into more detail. And it's like a live conversation with the persona to dig into who they really are and what their mindset is about different topics. So that's very useful to us.
And the planners are all using that, are they? As part
absolutely.
Of their day-to-day?
Yes, absolutely.
Amazing.
Exactly. So it's obviously started with our bigger accounts, but there's a long tail of a few, I'm sure, who haven't quite got onto it yet. And it also depends on where you are in your cycle of planning. But for 2026, that's been a big push for us, for certain.
And does the output from Persona AI get shared with on the creative side for the kind of message planning as well?
Absolutely. So one of the things about Havas that's a little bit more unique than other holdcos is that we operate as a village. So that tech and that capability is available to our creative agencies within the village. And I guess one of the big differences, as everyone will know, is from a media perspective, media agency audience insight tends to be quite different and quant-led versus creative agency insight. So what's useful about this is instead of having to retrain creative agencies on how to start using YouGov, for example, they can just like interact with the persona and ask the questions that they need to get to a creative strategy, which often are slightly different questions to what we need when we point things towards media.
Nice. I like it.
Penultimate question, just one more. So the theme today at the Ad Club is out of home, is it the last real thing? Do you feel that's true? Is it the last medium which has sort of, truth and trust and public presence? Is that fair?
I think that is very fair. I mean, like obviously I've said a few times today already, I am very passionate about out of home. but not just from the reach perspective. I think things like signaling are overlooked, and that goes back to what I was saying about the over-reliance on precision targeting I see in this market. We also have to think about how the brand shows up in the world, and the opportunity for outdoor to do that is probably like the best of any medium, if you ask me. The stature, and also then things like frequency and how you build into people's day-to-day lives. It pulls so many different levers. We don't need to worry about viewability. We don't need to worry about brand safety. All of the things that like tie us up in knots and honestly waste a lot of our time. Outdoor doesn't suffer from that.
Yeah, and that, in fact, that comes back to the creative simplification. If you get the message super simple, you can remove some of that.
Yeah. But like we had a pitch recently that we won on an education brand, and they're fabulous clients. And when we were doing the pitch, it was combined with Havas New York. Like the creatives, when we recommended outdoor, they were thrilled. They were like, no one gives us outdoor. We love outdoor. And for this particular brand and where we were going, it was the perfect way to land what we were trying to do. And they got really excited by it. And that kind of makes me worry, like what information are creatives getting and how is the media plan being shared and how are those decisions being made? And I'm lucky that I'm in a village type of model and that we have many shared accounts, but that's not the case everywhere. And I think it's really important you find that excitement from creatives because that's the purest way of landing a brand message. If you can do it in 3 seconds in a really impactful way and still land the essence of the brand, that's really strong creative.
Well, you're talking to two blokes. That's why I set up our podcast because it's the easiest one to talk about, the most sexy, exciting media.
Yeah.
I was going to say that separately, but we've both worked with direct-to-consumer brands before, and when they've had the opportunity to be in the real world, they're like, it's exactly like that. Like, we love outdoor. And as soon as it goes out there, there may be a digital-only brand, but suddenly it's in the real world, and they go, we're now real.
We're now real.
And
we have that signaling power that we have like got to enough scale that we're here now.
We can take a billboard.
Yeah, that matters. That matters.
It's very important.
Final question is your favorite ever billboard. Let's see if we've got one in here. I know this one very well.
I gave you a video. Yeah.
Sorry, and I couldn't get it working, so I put the visual the still.
No probs. I just thought you'd like it. You need to see the video. So, yes, my favorite ever billboard is a client that we have in the London office, who is, I should say, actually the Manchester office, but in the UK, which is BBC. So the BBC are a semi-state-owned, huge TV station. Everyone hopefully has heard of them, and they were launching a new show called Dracula, and both media and creative again came together, but like the idea is so simple but so effective, which is basically they used a number of like bloody daggers, I guess you call them, and that were strategically placed in a way that when it got dark, the light that we had shining on the billboard created like this Dracula shadow onto the billboard, and it was so amazing and so effective. And actually you can see there's lots of great videos of it online if you have a search, but it shows the creative changing during the day, the different shadows it makes, and then finally landing on the like epic Dracula shot. I love that. It's like clever, it's smart, it's creative, but it's also like not overly technology focused. There's something simple and beautiful about it, I think, which I particularly love. So
no, it's a great piece.
And did very well on social, very well at awards.
Exactly. It's that model again of like, you don't need to do 100 of them.
No, one billboard.
You do them in a few key spots and it gets picked up.
The amplification.
Exactly.
That's great. Thank you so much for coming on.
Anytime.
Thank you, Jackie.
Thanks. It's lovely.
Take care.
Nice to meet you guys.
See you.
I nearly walked off with your microphone.
Rhianna Jones, Associate Director, Radical and Disruptive Love Media Hub. Welcome to Behind the Billboard.
Thank you so much. I'm so honored and excited to be here.
It's nice to meet you.
I love out of home, so I'm genuinely very looking forward to this.
The first question is, have you listened to the podcast before? We're going to have a new fan on our hands.
No, you're going to be new audience.
Listen, Rhianna, neither of our wives listen.
Our wives don't listen.
So, like, you know.
Well, we'll start a fan club.
Yeah, there you go.
Cross the pond.
I'm going to subscribe you on your Apple Podcast, and that's it. And when you do, we'll get you one of these lovely hoodies sent over as well. We always start every episode with a guest talking about what they've seen out in the wild, and we use the billboard at the end of my block to do that. And really, it's a way for us to get into the state of the industry. What have you found as you've been out and about in your local neighborhood?
So first of all, I love that you're doing this because it's really important, especially out of home, that we're off our phones and like actually looking up into the world. I think so many times you just walk around and everyone is just like a zombie into their phone, that that you're missing the magic and the surprise and delight and the cleverness of out of home. So this is a campaign that happened just recently with Squarespace and Cash App for Small Business Saturday. It's a really big initiative in America. I imagine it exists in the UK, maybe.
In the UK.
Small Business Saturday.
Right.
Well, basically, like, Thanksgiving weekend is all about storming the major retailers, but it's really important that you support small businesses too. And so just having this kind of receipt-esque wheat pasting, money spent in your neighborhood stays in your neighborhood, that hits you.
Yeah.
And I live in a neighborhood that is rapidly gentrifying. Right. And so I'm very dedicated and committed to, supporting the local businesses so they don't all become Amazon.
Yeah.
Where is this running? Sorry.
This is literally at the end of my block, but this is Squarespace and Cash App. I've seen it all over New York City.
In New York.
Yeah.
Cool,
I imagine it's in other big DMAs as well, just because Small Business Saturday, it's a huge initiative in America.
That's great.
It's
nice. And it's a wild posting, right?
It's a wild posting. I love wild postings. They're always changed. They're so clever and memey.
So we have to say to our listeners, because I only learned this, so in England we call it fly posting.
Oh.
So wild posting. So for listeners, you need to know that it's wild posting.
What's great about the media world here in the US is there are dedicated wild posting sites as well.
Oh my goodness,
cool.
yeah. Wild
in England
posting.
it's banned now, you can't do it.
There are certain sites you can do it. There are a couple of agencies. Jack Agency has a few wild postings.
No, and what I love about wild postings is sometimes they become pieces of art, and you'll actually see videos of people like waiting for it to rain so they can unravel it and take it home and frame it, and it becomes this whole so much earned media with wild postings because they're literally street level and people can interact with them.
Yeah.
Let's talk about, so we've seen what's happening at the end of your street, and we use this to talk about the state of the industry. So what have you seen this year that you've really loved from a creative perspective out of home, rather not just the one at the end of your street, but anything else you've seen out
great,
So the most salient campaign for me, very recent, it's actually not a message that I loved, but it was incredibly effective, is the Friend campaign.
Right.
And have you heard of it?
No, I'm listening.
No. So what it is it's this AI necklace. And
I've heard about that. I have heard about this.
You've even heard about it across the pond.
It's AI telling me,
Mm-hmm. And it's this new tool that's a friend around your neck. And so the campaign was like, I'll watch Netflix with you. I'll stay up night with you. Like super spooky. And it was
creepy.
It's very
really
creepy.
But did you see what Heineken did? Is that what you were going to say?
No, but I'm really excited to hear what you're about to say. But and even the way that, and I think it was one of the largest subway takeovers in history. They funneled like millions of dollars into this campaign. You could not take a single subway line in this entire city, which is a huge transit ecosystem, and not see this campaign. And people just hated it. They would be writing over it and drawing pictures over it and doing all of this. So it became this huge, it was inescapable. Everyone was talking about it. And so even though, as they say, like all press is good press, it had so much earned media because it's even the way that it was designed looked like a canvas. So it became super interactive and just like, I don't know, it kind of became this city, this whole collective campaign of like animosity towards these ads, but everyone was talking about it, so it was incredibly effective. And you talk about the Friend campaign, and everyone knew what it was.
Oh right.
So then what we found. So part of the campaign was. So I think it wasn't. I don't know. It's obviously running here, but I don't think we saw it much in London. But we see stuff amplified on social media.
Yeah.
And part of it is this sort of. There was this necklace thing, right? So what Heineken did is they construed it, but like a bottle opener, and it said something like, in our book, the way to make friends is over a beer.
See?
It's much better.
Genius.
Yeah.
Genius.
And but I didn't get it initially because I got fed the Heineken bit, and then I saw the graffiti. I was like, and then I thought, it has to be a joke.
Yeah.
It's for real.
100% for real.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. That's so. Heineken's been really good. They're super smart. Whoever's on their social team, like really quick.
What would you like to see more of in 2026 from an out-of-home creativity perspective?
Yeah, so to that effect, because the world is in, like I said in the panel, it's a bit of a hellscape right now. I would love to see more out-of-home that solves solves real world problems and looks at people and listens to them and sees them for what they need versus just selling them something.
Yeah.
You know, if your campaign can add value to someone's life, that's what builds brand love and loyalty. And, you know, whether that be a laugh or, you know, some of the other two panelists, there was this Australian campaign that actually had a vision campaign that was a seen eye exam. So the way that they created this optical illusion and like the way that they stationed it, you know, 6 feet away, they were able to give people like a free optical exam through this out of home. And that's amazing. So if there's...
We're just taking a photo.
Yeah, and I'm always like, how can we serve the community? I come from a cultural impact background who, you know, I very naively thought that I could come into media and just like funnel all this corporate money and help solve community problems. And unfortunately,
how's that going?
It doesn't have a lot of ROI, especially now that the DEI days are long gone. But I do think in general, you know, consumers, especially in America, we shop with our dollar and we know the value of our dollar. And so we are very intentional with the brands that we support, and the brands that show up for us, we show up for them.
Yeah, okay. So we want to see more advertising that encourages real world change.
Yeah, real world change. And it doesn't even have to be, you know, like starting a revolution, but even the Heineken thing, like we still value people getting together. We don't want everyone to be living on AI and in screens, you know, just like these simple messages that champion humanity. That's what I want to see.
What in your day-to-day world at Media Hub, and you're thinking about creativity and disruption and what to do in the out-of-home media world, what makes a campaign here in the US different to in other places? Is it the scale? Is it people? Is it product?
It's tricky because I feel like in America there's no shortage of innovation, but there's so much red tape and there's so much that's just limited by ROI because we're so capitalist here. Everything's about the bottom line, and a lot of times with out of home, you know, measurement just doesn't have that same 1-to-1 ratio that programmatic does, for example. And so even though out of home, higher visibility, again, you have that surprise and delight, more earned media potential, more
So the ideas exist.
The ideas are there. The ideas are always there. It's always, I mean, like my job, I come with these huge, big ideas, and it's like, okay, what's actually feasible? What can we afford? That's usually what it boils down to. And so it's interesting that what you said about how wild postings are illegal now in the UK, because I find that usually a lot more is possible outside of America, because America there's just so many laws that prohibit creativity and playfulness, frankly. But I know there's an example that I also love and think of. McDonald's in the Netherlands they did the world's first scented billboards. No logos. Do you remember those?
No, I haven't seen them.
Literally like this color.
We just spoke to someone about another idea which was about scent.
Yeah.
Grand Central. There's some smelly billboards or posters.
Is the one you're talking about with it pumping out the smell of burgers?
The smell of French fries.
Oh, French fries.
Yeah. No logo, no message, no nothing, but just that evoking and activating that sense and strategically placing them near McDonald's locations. That is the kind of innovation that I love. It's like, how can you activate people's senses? Because that's the one thing that you can't do in the confines of a screen.
I think, sorry, Dan.
Well, I was going to say, let's stay on innovation, tech innovation, and something that Hugh and I always talk about on the podcast is the greatest use of technology in the out-of-home space is for the creative purposes rather than the other way around. Rather than just let's throw in the tech, let's use AI because everyone's using AI. Let's use this sensor or this camera or something. Talk to us about tech innovation in your world at Media Hub and how you use tech and innovation to help communicate messaging and stories.
So, wonderful example that I actually just talked about on the panel, Beverly Hills Cop, a huge franchise that a lot of people have nostalgia for. Netflix tasked us to relaunch it last year, 40 years after the original.
40 years, wow.
I know.
Oh my God.
I know.
That makes me feel old.
Ages some of us.
Eddie Murphy putting a banana in the tailpipe.
I know, it's iconic.
It's amazing.
And so there's a huge audience that can instantly tap into that, nostalgia. But it's like, how do you make a franchise feel fresh again, especially for a new audience that's never heard of it? And so what we did was we were like, well, everyone knows Eddie.
No, you're good.
Everyone knows Eddie, but he's too expensive.
Yeah.
So, but the theme song, dun, 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 iconic, instantly again activates your sense, activates that nostalgia. Right. And funnily enough, there's this Swedish Eurodance company that created this CGI character, Crazy Frog.
Right, yeah,
maybe your kids
Crazy
know
Frog,
it. Yeah. See, and that took the same beat. So we were like, okay, this is our hook. Let's make the theme song inescapable and intergenerational this summer, so everyone tunes in. So we did all these different ways of innovating audio and out of home. We were like, okay, it's July 4th. Everyone's going to be at home, having watch parties and celebrating with their families. So let's work with Uber and do first-to-market delivery robots that are not only wrapped in our campaign branding, but plays the theme song upon delivery.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, first. That was the first. So again, these little moments of surprise and delight. And then we choreographed the fireworks in Detroit to the theme song. We had custom doorbells with Amazon to the theme song. We had boats in Miami and streetcars in Toronto, all these audio-equipped transits that played the theme song. And then, so it's just all these different...
Would you call that kind of ambient out of home? Is that a kind of...
I've never heard of that, but I don't see why not.
Yeah, so there's a whole category at Cannes Lion for ambient out of home, where you do things like ring doorbells, because it's not a format, right?
No.
So you can't go and buy that from a media agency. It's like, how do we integrate with Amazon? How do we do this with... So yeah, I think it's really smart.
I wish I'd known that.
Axel Foley, that's what it is.
Axel Foley, yeah. It's exactly like how do we signal to the world like a little police siren that Axel's back in action.
But just going back to the tech and innovation, then that's a good example of idea first. The idea is the audio mnemonic.
Yeah.
Then you go, how can we show up, and how can we use tech and innovation to help us show up?
And different canvases, but also connected with real world audience insights. Like, okay, it's a holiday weekend. It's going to be an incredibly cluttered market. What are people going to be doing? Yeah. They're listening to music. They're going to be at home, having their friends. They're traveling. So how can we show up in all these spaces, but in a really surprising way that activates their senses and gets them to tune in?
I think that's a really good lesson for people listening in now about the use of technology for the right reason, and we talk about it a lot on the show. I think perfectly articulated that rather than
we have this expression, all the gear, no idea, which is just like
so much. And to your point, like everyone's like, how are we going to use AI? How are we going to use AI? How are we going to use AI? And like sometimes you really just need a simple story and a brilliant idea, and that's what's going to translate for audiences.
I likened the use of AI recently to Photoshop. When I was training at art college and learning Photoshop, no one came up to me and said, how are we going to use Photoshop? How are we going to use Photoshop? It's just a tool.
It's just a tool.
It's a tool. You don't go up to a builder and say, how are you going to use your hammer today?
Only
how are you going to use these nails?
Isn't trying to obliterate humanity.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it just needs to pipe down a bit and just get on with it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still about ideas, but I think it is a tool that's going to enhance what you're doing. But it's not the thing.
No, it still is incomparable to human creativity and the connecting those nuances and those insights. Because one, it's like who's feeding these AI models, and two, like when you're in the real world and you are seeing what people are responding to, like that is invaluable knowledge.
Right.
You want to do the?
Yeah, we're just going to end. We're here obviously at the Ad Club. The theme, very appropriately, the last real thing. Out of home is deemed as the last real thing. Do you feel that's true? Is that honestly right?
I will stand by out of home as being the strongest, most compelling, most imaginative and creative media canvas, because again, there's just like the sky is literally the limit. I know that social and CTV and programmatic have a lot more reach and scale and efficiency, but they just don't have the media magic.
They're not tangible.
They're not tangible.
Yeah.
They're not in the real world, are they?
They're not in the real world.
No. That's very. It's a really. It feels very strong. The thing today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's finish up with your favourite billboard of all time, because it definitely rings true to everything that you've been saying today. I've just seen it on the screen. Tell us about
describe what we're looking at.
Yes. So IKEA's ingenious "Here Comes the Sun" campaign, solving a real-world issue of Sweden, even in the summer. The difference between being in the sun and being in the shade is polar opposites, and so they worked with all these different cafes, gave them outdoor furniture, and created this ingenious GPS tracking mirror with the price tag on it to reflect the sun on the shady spots in the cafe and literally give people sun. It blew up it got so many awards, but
So
again,
good.
gave people something that they actually need, and because of that, brand love, loyalty, everyone bought the mirrors.
And do you know what? Quite interesting. All the things that you've said all the way through our questions here are summed up by this campaign. Like using out of home to change people's lives, to affect them, to give them some love, to
bring some levity.
Yeah, it's great.
But it's also such a simple idea.
Yeah.
You know, it's not $20 million. It's just let's make a giant mirror on a GPS tracker with a price tag on it.
Yeah, it's really good.
It's a really great one to end.
Rihanna, thank you so much for coming on the show and finding time for us on your busy day.
Thank you so much. We really enjoyed
Very
that.
fruitful conversation.
Yes, we'll hopefully see you maybe in London
Stay
sometime.
inspired and get off your phones.
Yeah.
I'm looking for
Mandy Robinson, Vice President of Creative at Lamar Advertising Company. Welcome to Behind the Billboard.
Thank you so much. It's fun to be
I was
here.
just saying off air, you and I have been on many email chains before. When I was at Grand Visual and with Talon, we're talking about creative and what to do on different boards. So it's fine.
Been in
It's great.
industry a while, 28 years.
28 years.
Yes.
You are 3 more than me. So
Yeah.
you win.
There you go.
But we're nowhere near as much as Hugh because he's the oldest.
What about you? How long?
just
you?
over 28 years.
Okay.
Well, I don't know. I suppose I started in the industry, probably like early 90s. I started at BBH and then I worked all sorts of places, but I'm still enjoying it.
Yeah, I am too. It keeps evolving, so it's different every day.
Yeah.
We've seen the out-of-home revolutions, like the digitization, and then kind of, what we're looking at now with anamorphic and dynamic.
I met Dan because when he came in, they said, "Oh, there's a guy talking about screens."
Yeah.
All right, well,
Yeah.
and then we just got on ever since
That's
then.
awesome.
Always wanted to work together. So.
What's interesting is that everybody's got this short attention span, and people watch 3 seconds of a video and then flip to the next, scroll to the next one, and we've had that mastered forever, right?
Yeah.
And out of home, we've been doing 6-8 seconds
Micro
from the
content.
beginning.
Yeah, that's it. That's how we've always worked, right?
The first question we asked everyone is we use this in our podcast to photograph the billboard at the end of your block, and you've uploaded something for First Guarantee Bank.
Yeah.
I assume that's somewhere local in Baton Rouge.
It is. I actually live in a smaller town outside of Baton Rouge called Watson, and this is the first billboard I see on my 45-minute commute to work every day. So,
give us your opinion of the creative.
blah.
Yeah.
Blah.
I think that's quite high praise, actually. Blah.
You think? Yeah.
What is it?
It's not exciting. It's they're,
It's a logo, right?
they're very proud of their awards, and
is this a local bank?
That is a great question. I actually don't know how big they are, but I think they're regional.
It says First Guarantee Bank, is that right?
America's best small bank 3 years in a row.
Eesh.
Yeah.
The billboard's not doing it for me.
No, I guess this is part of your world as well, because it filters into your world as a media owner and a national media owner. You have boards all over the country.
Mm-hmm.
When the creative's not up to scratch, it really can affect the business.
Oh, it affects Lamar. It affects the sales. It gives everybody a bad name, and it reflects poorly on us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As an industry as well, people see that stuff.
Yeah, because the business owner is going to be like, well, it didn't work for me. Well, the creative is why it didn't work.
Yeah.
So
And have you got tools in place and teams in place at Lamar for your creative to help brands and agencies navigate that process?
Yes. I mean, at Lamar, 80% of our customers are local clients. So they are the mom and pops. They're the small banks. Now, this one, actually, I believe an agency did that. But we have about 130 designers.
Wow.
And they are designing 100% for the local clients in that local market where they exist. So, yeah, they're very good at it. That's their niche. They've been doing it, a lot of them, for a really long time, and they understand the rules and how to make it effective. It's really trying to get that local business to agree to let us do it.
If you don't mind, I might just jump forward to one of the later questions about AI, because that's just pricked my consciousness, something you're saying there with your design team. Yeah. Are they using AI tools to look at potential effectiveness and creative effectiveness to help kind of give some substance to the arguments back to clients to improve creative?
Yeah, they are. We are starting to test things like that, but they're not using AI for the creative part of their job. They are using AI to make them more efficient.
Right, okay.
We have tested a lot of testers, and of course it's using AI. But they're using it for things like, if you can't find the perfect image, we rely on stock photography a lot just because of the speed that we're having to create these campaigns for local clients. And when you can't find that perfect image, AI is making us a lot more efficient in that. It's compositing things for us. It's increasing the resolution when the client provided photo is too low res. We have a real estate client, and she did not like what she was wearing in the image she provided us.
Right.
Now that would have taken us
a reshoot.
Hours. And so we changed her clothes, several times before she liked what she was wearing.
One of the reasons I asked that is that one of our the show sponsors is Super Optimal. And so I think Neil Morris.
I do. I've tested his product. Yeah, it's good.
And it's an interesting thing that as a powerful tool for designers to use AI to think about improving their own design, but not redesigning it for them. It's just it's thinking about how can this be more effective for out of home use.
Yeah, and what I like about that tool is that that what that report is telling us is already what our designers know instinctively, but it's putting something that looks more scientific in front of the client, and that might convince them, oh, maybe I should.
And that's kind of
this version versus this one.
It's the equivalent of here's the science part. So from a creative perspective, we can argue till we're blue in the face about, oh, listen, this is why it's going to be better. And they go, But as soon as you give them
a fancy report.
A factual report that's based on true insight, it makes all the difference.
Exactly.
Anyway, just going back to the stuff that's happening that you've seen in 2025, what's been your most, from a creative perspective, across your estate, other people's estate, what's the best billboard you've seen in 2025?
I would say the Steph Curry with the moon.
Oh yeah, the moon shot.
Shoot for the moon.
Brilliant.
Is that what it's called? I just like how it merged art and science together. And it took, scientists and everybody coming together to make that happen. And I've never seen it before.
This is really funny because we feature it on our we have this feature every week called Ooh, That's Nice.
Yeah.
So I put it up. So I'm not as familiar. Dan's more into American sport than me, like, as in basketball and stuff. So I put Stephen Curry, right?
Yeah.
But I spelt it wrong.
Oh.
Spelled Stephen's name wrong.
Okay.
Yeah. And there's this person on LinkedIn literally within a millisecond, which is great actually.
It's funny sports does that to people, isn't it?
Yeah. And so, but then I was looking at it and I started looking for content on it. It was obviously really well done.
Yeah.
But then loads of people going, oh, look at this coincidence, this thing happened, and other people going, oh, look how they planned it.
Yeah, this is well planned.
No matter what happened is, everyone was talking about it.
Everybody was sharing it. That's how I saw it. I mean...
Yeah.
And what would you like to see more of in 2026, knowing that that's one of your favorites of 2025?
Yeah, I mean, just work that's not been done. I mean, just something really unique. Use the sun, use the moon, use the stars, whatever. That's what makes out of home so unique, is that we can do those things that other media can't do that.
That's the stuff that's going to win at OBs. That's the stuff that's going to...
It's amazing, isn't it? Because you think
we're in 2025 now. Everything must have been done. And then you see stuff and you go,
but no.
oh, no. There's
wish I'd thought of that. And speaking of the OBs, you brought up the OBs. I did want to mention too that we, we're always collecting OBs this time of year, and it's always at the convention in May, and it's not going to be this year. So we're moving it from the awards at the end of the conference, and it's going to be a standalone event in New York next year during Out of Home Week in October. So
fantastic!
It used to be that way about 20-ish years ago.
But it was at the conference, at the AAA conference.
And then they moved it to the conference as like a part.
Okay.
So it's
great.
We're excited about it as the creative committee. We hope to have a lot of brands and agencies and clients, like the creators, actually in the room.
Maybe we should rock up and do another.
Yeah, we'll come back for that in October.
Yeah, it's going to be at the MoMA. So.
Oh, nice.
Cool.
We'll
Lovely.
We'll sneak.
With Lamar, you have obviously a real estate of tens of thousands of boards and sites and locations, some here and across the country. The creative challenges with a national advertiser wanting to come in and create for everything.
Yeah.
How do you get around that at Lamar? Is it your 120 odd designers and support for that,
I mean we're very decentralized, so I think everybody in each market knows the rules of the road in that market, but that's what makes it difficult to design for, because there's different rules and regulations everywhere. You can do this, but you can't do this by a school or a church or cannabis. We have general guidelines, but then you have to know the state guidelines and the local guidelines, and it does make it a challenge. It's hard. It's hard. We have a crew.
Do you think this country is more of a challenge in this country than it is in others?
We're not international. I mean, we're United States and Canada, so we don't have to deal with that as much. But I do understand that, U.S. is heavily regulated. Yeah. And, that just puts limits around what you can do creatively.
That's been a real theme today, some of the conversations we've had. But then we also we were saying it puts the onus on making the work as simple as possible.
Right.
So to cut through all of that, I think that's so important.
Yeah.
We talked very briefly about AI earlier, but in terms of tech and innovation at Lamar, how have you guys embraced that? Obviously, we talked about Ian Dallimore and all the stuff he's done on the innovation side.
We are currently working on that and ways to weave it in. From my perspective, I am looking at ways that we can, be able to upload 2 pieces of art and be able to analyze it, in the ways that Super Optimal and things like that do. So we're looking at things like that. And then, gosh, I challenge anybody out there listening to come up with the tool for the out-of-home industry that can take a single design and reformat it into as many sizes as it needs to be.
Yeah.
But
there's a challenge.
But create it like the way a designer would do it.
Yeah. Not just a clunky.
Not just throwing all the assets in, really designing it in the hundreds of different formats it needs.
Yeah, I think that tool would make millions and millions and millions of dollars.
Tell my friend Neil. Yeah.
We're at the Ad Club's event. The theme is the last real thing. Do you go along with that? That feeling that out
for sure.
Is, the truth.
Yeah, for sure. We are all glued to our phones. I have kids, and when they're in the car, they are not looking out the window. I can tell you that. They're looking down at their phone. So our creative, it has to be good enough to break through. It has to make, we focus so much on this industry about data and research, but putting that right design in the right place at the right time to reach the right client.
Yes.
If that creative does not do the job and make somebody actually look at it, all of that is for nothing.
Yeah.
It's for nothing.
Yeah. It's that.
So we have to make them look.
Yeah. There's the first rule of advertising. If you don't get our attention, everything is defunct. It's just forget it.
Nothing to measure.
How do you make that, or do you already make it a superpower for Lamar as part of the sales process? When you're selling creativity, you're selling space, you've obviously got national sales teams all around the country.
Yeah.
How do you take the theme of this event, the Ad Club's event here, and the last real thing, and turn that into something that gives out-of-home saliency?
I'm always preaching. We bring in every new account executive that comes through Lamar, we bring them in for 4 days of, intentional sales training. And so I talk to every one of them, and I'm just like, and I preach. I get on my soapbox about it, but I just tell them, this is a business owner, and this could be their last. This is a local client. This could be their last opportunity to make their American dream work.
Yeah.
It is up to us as designers. We're selling advertising. This design should not be informational, and it's got to get their attention and actually make them feel something that encourages an action. And we're always telling them, push boundaries. If you have an idea, if they have an idea, bring it to us. We want to make those ideas happen.
And I think for Lamar, probably more so than the other big five, you've got such a local marketplace. 80% of the
80%, yeah.
80% is for local advertisers. The attention that a small business, a mom and pop place, can get from having a billboard in the right location, say the right thing to their audience,
it's
huge. It could really change their business, and I think that's a responsibility on the creative team to make sure that that's good.
Yeah, for sure. It's a lot of money to them, and we're doing them a disservice if it's not effective. It's going to actually make an action. But I had a thought. You triggered my next question. I love that campaign.
Your favorite billboard of all time.
So can you describe what it is?
Do you remember this campaign?
I don't know. Do you?
No, I don't remember this campaign.
Okay. So this was in 2007. It's for Mini Cooper.
Yeah.
And I loved the whole Mini Cooper campaign. It was for years. It was very similar, but they always, were making something unique. So this was RFID technology. And what they did was whenever a new person bought a Mini Cooper, they had to fill out a questionnaire about themselves.
Right.
And then the RFID tag was in their key fob.
Right.
So whenever they would come 500 feet within a billboard, it would speak to them. And it was just the first campaign where
on the personalization level.
Yeah, it was different because out of home, as y'all know, speaks one to many. Normally, one to many, and here it was really one to one.
Amazing. Do you know who did it?
I don't know who did. I don't remember.
It also offers fame to that driver as they're driving past.
Right. Another one said, motor on, Ken, and then another one was like, Crystal, it's a nice day to have your top down, or because they knew she had a convertible. It was just, I thought it was unique.
You could do it today. This is such a cool idea.
Oh, definitely, but this was in 2007.
I'm just saying,
That's what's amazing about it.
Because that's I love it.
That's the right mix of innovation, tech, and creative working together.
Mini Cooper was great.
Thank you for bringing that to us. I think maybe that's where we end.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mendy.
Thank
you, thank you so much. Lovely to meet you.
Nice to meet y'all. Thank you for having me.
Wow, what a start. What an intro.
We're back at Newsstand. It was really,
that was amazing. Can I say the first thing amazing was the view from that building?
Yeah.
You can see all the way across, and there's the beautiful sunshine, the kind of cold, crispy weather, and there's the Freedom Tower, and everything is so well set. Great location.
And guest-wise, thanks to Jim. Jim out front was our first
Jim was so
guest. After he'd come off stage, he was incredibly polished and very articulate about what from a media owner perspective, what the challenges are, and how they've been working around some technology stuff and AI, and we talked about obviously the super optimal's involvement in the outfront model for studios. So
I like this thing about OOH IRL.
Yeah,
I thought that was a really great observation.
And again, big thanks to Ryan from Talon, CEO at Talon, also Ad Club board member.
Yes.
Obviously I used to work there as Talon acquired Grand Visual, and he and I have worked together for years. So it's good to give my team, my ex-team at Grand Visual, a bit of a plug, and how creative forms part of their offering as well is really good.
Yeah, it was good. I really liked so much of it, like how people had really thought about what their favourite billboards were, and there's a lot of overlap on Apple, which is really interesting because Maybe it's because we're in America,
Grace talked about Apple as well, didn't she? So Ryan chose Apple and Grace chose Apple.
One was hyper localized as well, which I think that was really good.
I think that Think Different campaign was strong, wasn't it?
And
Rihanna, Rihanna was great.
Yeah, so that was really interesting, talking about innovation.
And it's quite interesting with Media Hub and the disruptive lab that they have. It's quite novel for a media-based agency to just go, let's make shit happen, and robots and fun stuff and Ring doorbells and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, the Beverly Hills Cop thing was fascinating.
Yeah,
the kind of
ambient activity, and it forms is an incredible part and tool to use in the out-of-home space. So yeah,
I enjoyed the fact that we all started singing the theme tune as well. It's all live. It's all happening. So yeah, I thought you were amazing.
And Jackie, thank you, Jackie.
No, you meant to say I thought you were amazing.
Oh, I'll do that at the end.
Okay, ready?
I didn't think you were amazing, but no, Jackie from Havas.
Jackie's great.
Yeah,
from
Dublin.
Yeah, that she was really brutally honest. I liked some of the stuff she said. It's really up the game. There's a lot of wallpaper out there.
Yeah, there really is. But I thought it was a great event, well organised by the Ad Club. Again, big thanks to them for having us down there. We'll certainly be back again next year. It's a lovely event to have at this time of year. You could tell half of that room were going off. It perfectly finished in time for lunch. So I imagine all of the restaurants in Tribeca were booked with people who were going out
jealous.
for their Christmas lunches.
Yeah, it felt like a really great wedding where you didn't have to deal with any of the boring shit. Like just going, let's all meet and let's all go for lunch.
Yeah, Anna Bagger was on from OAAA as the last one, and you could tell people were starting to get itchy for their pre-lunch cocktails.
But it was quite rowdy at the beginning. I don't know who the hostess was, but
Elicia.
Can you be quiet? Can you be quiet? Shut up.
Yeah,
it was great. Great crack. Great bunch of people. I think we should definitely come back and do something similar. Maybe the Obies.
Obies in October. We heard that from Mendy. Mendy from Lamar. Thank you again to Mendy. She was telling us that the Obies are being moved from the OAAA conference, which usually happens in April, to an October standalone here in New York. So maybe we'll try and come back for the Obies and do a broadcast from there too.
And I thought you were great, by the way.
Oh, by the way, I thought you were awesome.
Fucking hell.
I think as our first
from a stone.
As our first episode in New York, I think we've set the bar pretty high. And that bar has been set really high because of how awesome you are, Hugh.
And how awesome you are.
Don't hit the microphone.
No, I'm just emphasising. It's all very, ad hoc. We're not super slick. We're still,
We're still keeping it real.
Joe wants us to be rough around the edges,
To unshaven.
Yeah. Right, let's get off.
Right, so before we do, let's just hear from our sponsors. And don't sign off now. Please listen to what they have to say. Well, actually, what we have to say, because we recorded the ads for them.
Yeah, I recognise voices.
Dan.
Yeah.
Do you know what I do? Genuinely, do you know what I love about outdoor?
No, I don't.
Loads and loads. But one of the best things, I think Heg actually mentioned it, but, we're champions of this. You can't swipe it. You can't skip it. It's everywhere. It's real and it's there. And if it's done well, the impact is massive.
We're saying it's omnipresent. Do you like that word?
Ooh. Swallowed the dictionary.
I think Bauer Media Outdoor really get that as well. I mean, they've got the scale as well to back that up. They've got 33,000 sites across the UK. But I think what's great is, having such a big media owner on board as a sponsor is the way they help our community and brands actually use the space properly.
Yeah, and they've got tons of guidance. How to craft great posters, making sure designs are not just seen but actually remembered, which is the absolute, the most important thing.
Powerful posters, if you will.
Exactly.
We're really lucky. This episode is brought to you by Bauer Media Outdoor. They're one of the UK's largest out-of-home media owners. The billboard at the end of my street is brought to you by Super Optimal. Design intelligence for out-of-home. Super Optimal delivers simple, machine-driven analysis and actionable insights for reviewing and improving out-of-home ad design. Designers and media teams can quickly analyze billboard and poster designs, gain optimization feedback, and deliver out-of-home design that is fit for purpose. Test and learn. Make informed design decisions and elevate your out-of-home campaigns at superoptimal.ai.
Ooh, That's Nice is brought to you by View to Fill, the out-of-home campaign photography and video experts. View to Fill have spent a decade mastering the art of out-of-home campaign capture. They know how these campaigns run: adaptive display schedules, dynamic creatives, and high expectations. That's why brands trust them to deliver stunning photography and next-level videography. From drones to time-lapse and motion capture, View to Fill turn your campaign into powerful content that lives far beyond the humble billboard. Because out-of-home campaigns are not just about being seen, it's about being remembered and creating a legacy. Want to future-proof your next campaign? Visit View to Fill to capture the essence of your campaign. Our music is sponsored by Gas Music, delivering sound, music, and magic.
And finally, let's say thanks again to Joe here at Newsstand Studios. Let's say thanks to our friends at Soho Radio and also to Gas Music for all of the lovely music. Thanks to everyone. Thanks to you listeners.
Yeah, it's been an amazing journey getting over here, being here, and just...
We've got an incredible week ahead of us. We've got some amazing guests.
No, I mean, like, getting here. You know what I mean?
Just getting here.
Yeah, I mean, like...
Going up, down, downtown, up, down, downtown.
Yeah. But no, I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be... I think it's going to be exciting. We've got a lot to do.